You can tell if you're prophetically provoking a culture in desperate need of it if it forces them to look at Christ. We have made offending our neighbor worse than offending God. People are in heaven for truth. People are in hell for their opinions. Stop fearing the one who can destroy the body. Start fearing the one who can destroy the body and cast the soul into hell. Amen. There is not enough fear of God.
Please welcome Steve Deace.
Good afternoon. How is everybody today? So I know you guys just got a very flattering look at me, but I have to tell you, they left one thing out, okay? Because I am now a very proud LGBTQ best-selling author in America right now, as we speak. That's right. Richie Meets the Rainbow is now a top-selling LGBTQ book, deep in the heart of the dark heart of Pride Month. And if you ever want to be really depressed, and these days who does not, go through a section called LGBTQ books on Amazon. Like you read in the Bible when Abaddon is opened, what does it look like? It looks like the LGBTQ section. Yeah, there it is right there, thank you. It looks like the LGBTQ section on Amazon. It's pretty sad, actually. And yet, in the midst of all of that darkness, there's this one little children's book called Richie Meets the Rainbow, this one little light flickering in all of this darkness. And I told my audience the other day, Amazon tried to not publish the book, approved it, then tried to cancel it. I couldn't find someone that would publish the book. I couldn't find an illustrator for it. Had to go all the way to Hungary to find an illustrator. Couldn't find someone here. You'd think after you had a few best-selling books, people would line up to publish your book. Not this one, all right? So I had to pay for this one completely out of my own pocket up front. But now that it's not just an LGBTQ bestseller, but the Lord's made it a national bestseller, it's the #1 best-selling new release children's book in America right now. And I told our audience, everything we went through, if one kid whose guidance counselor tried to convince him to go mutilate himself or herself, if one kid went online, searched Amazon, went through that section, and found our book, one 9 or 10-year-old kid, and it convinced them not to do it, then that entire experience was worth it. That entire experience was worth it. Now, here's the thing, though. That math is way different than the math that we have been practicing within the evangelical church in the last generation. Over the last generation, the goal of the evangelical church was to make sure that every one of these seats was full. There was no higher calling than that. No higher reason for existence than that. In fact, we invented this thing because apparently the word heretic, that brand was canceled. So we had to create church growth consultants instead. And their goal was to come to places like this and make sure right here in the middle of a suburb, make sure you've got a Pottery Barn feel. Make sure it's very welcoming, okay? And inclusive. Right? But here's the most important thing. Make sure what you teach right here is affirming, is appeasement with the devil. Because as you saw in one of the clips there in my intro, we got rid of the #1 commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and we replaced it with the second commandment, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, love your neighbor as you love yourself is a very important commandment. Jesus made it second after all, but it is second for a reason. If you don't have the #1 commandment where it belongs, you will put people in the place of God. You will make it just fine to offend God. And you'll be upset if you offend people. Listen, I communicate for a living. I'm paid well. By God's grace, I've had people run for president pay me to help them communicate. And I'm just going to tell you right now, there is no inoffensive way to say you're a sinner. You're not just going to hell, you want it. You want hell. You desire it. You've reserved yourself an aisle seat on the eternal smoking section. And it is where you are going unless you believe this one singular truth. It's where you're going for all of eternity. If there is a nice way to say that, if there is an affirming way to say that, if there is a way that does not offend people when you say this to them, by golly, show me, because I'll make an even better living than I do right now. I don't think it exists. You can't do it, which is why they hung the author of that message on a tree. You can't be done, which is why they took his apostles and they hung them upside down and they decapitated them and they drew and quartered them and they boiled them in oil. That's why. Which brings me to you guys. See, we're just getting started. Now's the really fun part, all right? So, because we have focused for the last generation on filling all of these seats, everything's been kept very shallow. And you've been taught this kind of Christianity that there's nothing expected of you. Is it theologically true that Christianity is different from every other religion in that it teaches what God has already done for us as opposed to every other religion, what we have to do for God? Yes. But here's the thing though. This idea that you can just now kick this thing into cruise control from here and live the life it's all about you and God is your genie and he's here for you. No. You were bought at a high price. You are now to offer yourselves as a living sacrifice, a living sacrifice. This is your spiritual act of worship. To turn back to the one who offered himself as a sacrifice for you and now say, as he said in the garden to his Father, not my will, but yours. The hope of glory, Christ through me. And one of the first times you see Jesus demonstrate this in the Gospels is at the moment of one of his greatest miracles, the feeding of the 5,000. I want to talk for a minute about what happens after that miracle. There's a great multitude there, and they need to eat. So he performs a great miracle to feed them. And they are impressed. They have seen the show. The slam and praise team, the charismatic minister. Their bellies are full. They've seen the show. Except, unlike your modern evangelical church, Jesus is doing the show for a point. See, Jesus actually did carrot and the stick. Unlike us, we just do carrot, no stick. Now comes the stick. Now comes the stick. Jesus says, hey, by the way, I want to talk to you about what it means now. What you're watching here, what you're witnessing here, what you heard here, what it really means. If you want to follow me, here's the cost. Eat of my flesh, drink of my blood, pick up your cross, follow me. That multitude now, the ones who filled all the seats here that aren't full here this afternoon. The ones who came to get their bellies full. The donuts were fresh. The orange juice was chill. The praise team was hopping as you were singing Jesus is my boyfriend with all of your heart. And then the pastor gets up after that show to draw you in, and instead of being a construct of heretical church growth consultants, he actually used it as a point, just like Jesus did, to draw you in to now teach you the truth. And then these people that were sitting over here, they get up and they walk away. Now here's what the modern evangelical church has done. When these people over here get up and walk away, it's run after them. Wait, don't go. We've got a big mortgage. Don't go, don't go. Plate is a little light. Don't go. I really was hoping to get to a bigger church. Don't go. That's not what Jesus does. In fact, not one time in the Gospels does Jesus ask someone who's rejected him to reconsider. Have you ever thought about that? Zero. Instead, he turns to you, the disciples. And he says, are you going to desert me now too? It's time to change the paradigm in the modern church. Instead of seeking after those whose hearts really aren't in it, who never really were in it, and we're just here for a show. It's time to get back to being the church. What is the point of the church? To equip the saints for the work of the ministry. Now, one of those works is evangelism, but it is a work. It is not the church. The church is not for unbelievers. It is for us. Evangelism is a work of the church, but it is not the main instrument of the church. Discipleship is. What's the root word of discipleship? Discipline, meaning to discipline the people. That's what Jesus says in the Great Commission. Teach them the commands I have given you. Discipline the nations. Disciple them. So here is my charge to you, and in the last couple of minutes I have specifically to the men. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Crap. It's only about the destination. It's only about the destination. The journey can suck, but the destination might make it all worth it. Good Friday wasn't good for the guy on the receiving end, amen? Now, Sunday was something else, though, was it not? But the road to getting there, the journey, was not great. The destination was. So for all the men especially, taking it back to Richie for a second. See, Richie goes to school and he encounters what too many of our kids do today, a blue-haired tranny who thinks he's going to indoctrinate him into the dark arts. Except what you'll find out in the book is that Richie has a secret weapon. Dad. An engaged dad. And that dad's got a weapon called a Bible. And he does this weird thing where he pulls it out and he teaches it to his son. And then he says to his son, forgive me that I fell down on the job and wasn't paying attention to what was going on at that school. I can promise you, let's just say I'm going to be a consistent presence there from this time forward. Men, I want to ask you, on your last day, what will your children say about you? And think about that every day. I'm 50 now. 52 I'll be in a month. And I am praying constantly, let me finish well. My son graduated from high school a month ago. I covenanted with him. I said, I promise you, I'm not going to do something stupid at 60 that'll kill the next 2 generations. I'm going to set you up better than I was. God used me to break cycles of dysfunction. He's going to use you now to set the new direction. Think about your last day, men. Think about what you have not done for the Lord and his kingdom. And make sure you do not draw your last breath, never having tried not to do it. So that when your last day comes, your children will rise up and say about you what Paul said to his spiritual son, Timothy. Except they'll say this about you. I have fought the good fight. I have kept the faith. And I have finished the race. That is the greatest honor a dad can receive, is his children saying that about him on his last day. God bless you. Thank you.